On this episode of The Breakthrough Show, we're welcoming Grammy Award nominated musician Joel Cross to the show. In our conversation, you'll learn about his natural talent and the breakthrough that could have ended his career and his passion. Plus, you'll hear him perform one of his brand new songs that will reach you in your darkest of moments. Then, we'll meet one of the most determined and accomplished women we've ever had on the show, Hana Dhanji. From Wall Street attorney to executive coach, you'll learn about her unique upbringing that cultivated the environment, leading her to be the multi-passionate and compassionate woman she is today. Get ready to be moved beyond words during this all-new episode.
Moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice, and what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm super excited to be here with you today for another episode. You guys, this is going to be a powerful one. I am super thrilled that all of you are here to join me for an episode today that features two people that I am just honored, grateful, and excited to share in this energy and space with. So coming up later on the show, we have my good friend, Hana Dhanji, who is literally the most driven and determined person I have ever met. She was formerly a Wall Street corporate lawyer and now helps people maximize their success through, you guys, she has more degrees and certifications than anybody, but she is the most grounded and down-to-earth person. So I'm super excited to talk to her later on in the show. But coming up first, you guys, I feel like this has been a theme where I start off a story with, so I was scrolling through TikTok. And as I was doing that one night, which sometimes I do, I'm trying to fall asleep, and I see this amazing man who's playing the guitar, and I went to sleep, best sleep of my life. Like, it was the most soothing guitar and amazing. So I came back time after time to listen to him. And eventually I said, he's got to come on the show because I just need more people to know about him. And he is a native Texan, one of 8 children, which I'm impressed with that. He went from singing gospel to falling in love with the guitar to being noticed by the likes of Ellen DeGeneres, MTV, India RE, and the Grammy Awards. Please welcome for the first time to the show, my new friend, Joel Cross. Welcome.
Thank you. That's quite the introduction.
You're welcome. I will do it for you anytime. It's amazing to have you here. Music has always been something that's such a huge part of my life. And so when I meet another musician, it not only is a level of respect and appreciation for what you do, but also it's very nostalgic for me. And it takes me back to that passion that I felt when I was growing up I was practicing my Grammy speech in the mirror when I was 8 and just wanting it so bad. And so I'm just thrilled that you're here. In our tradition of what we do on the show, I would love for you to start out by sharing with us something that is bringing you joy today, Joel.
Actually, like you, TikTok and the connections you make on TikTok actually have really been bringing me a lot of joy lately. Mm-hmm. I mean, not just connecting to beautiful people like you, but so many other wonderful souls who are inspiring and also open and vulnerable. It's felt like in the midst of this pandemic, it's been a beautiful virtual safe haven, if you will, for, all of my creative outlets. Been doing a lot of exploring and writing and just trying to express myself in new and creative ways. And it's just brought me so much joy. It's been a lot of freeing and releasing of like old habits and birthing of new beautiful ones.
Yes,
So,
I love that. Do you feel like, for me, it's been an experience of feeling like I can get to know people a little bit better on there than other social apps. So like I knew you did music, but next thing I know, I'm seeing like meditations. The day that you were on live and trying out the harmonica, I was here for it. I was like, so into that and going, oh, that's the coolest sound. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, but listen.
yes, yes. Well, that whole thing actually was inspired by someone who came into my live on TikTok.
Really?
Told me, yeah, I don't know, I was probably just playing, we were talking, and they asked me if I'd heard this band, East Forest. And I remember her name was Denise, and she came in and I loaded it up and we listened to it together. And I was like, just enchanted, like immediately by the sound. It's like ambient, beautiful, like grounding music. But he had like nature and piano, but then he had like these beautiful harmonicas going.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was literally like, whoa.
That was
like,
me.
What? Like my mind was exploding. And I literally got off and bought harmonicas.
Oh my God. That's the other thing is TikTok gets expensive for me. I see these things and I'm like, oh, must have that. And then I go buy it. So it's so good though. But I feel like I've gotten to know you, like not just the guitar, but then found out you sing and then working on your camper and then seeing your mom and dad playing on your dad came on one of my lives not long after that. And I was like, oh my God, it's Joel's dad. He was fantastic.
As you said that, he just peeked in. It's pretty funny.
Hi. No, it was so cool to see. And so I feel like I've really gotten to know you a little bit, but I would love for you to share with the audience. You're one of 8 children. So I have 6 children and I didn't know if you knew that about me, but yeah, so we're learning new things here today too. So that's a whole, so love to your mom because that's a lot. Thank you. What was that like for you? Did you just sit around like singing together? Like I know you were into gospel music. Is everybody else into music or are you the only one?
Oh, everyone is. So growing up, I'm actually in my dad's like music studio space right now. And my dad was an aspiring gospel music songwriter.
Wow.
And so obviously he had 8 kids and, he had bigger priorities. So the music became more of a kind of a hobby. But we always grew up with music around and he always had us singing and playing in church with instruments. I mean, we always had a music room and there was always instruments around. And so we would all, behind me is this photo of my 3 oldest sisters, and they would all sing a lot of like the old gospel songs, like the Clark sisters, beautiful voices. And then there's me and my 3 brothers. I'm the youngest brother, so I'm child number 7.
Wow.
And, yeah, right.
The baby.
The baby. And so, it was a very common occurrence to kind of like, we would just randomly be in the music room. I would be learning a song or my brother would be learning a song and then we'd just be jamming out together, playing. But we were always playing and singing in church together. So that was kind of our family, just natural kind of state, just musically and spiritually inclined.
Yeah, that's so awesome to be able to sit and do that. And for me, that's what I've kind of envisioned for my children as well. We got a full-size keyboard and we bought a ukulele, acoustic electric, and we've got them all like we bought this house end of September and I have their homeschool room because we've been homeschooling since 2013. And half of the room I turned into like the music area. I hung the guitars on the wall. We have the keyboard in there and the whole thing. And that's what I want for them, not to just, it's nice to sit and relax sometimes and sit and like watch a movie or something like that. But to create together, it's something magical about that, right?
Oh yeah. That's, people are always like, wow, you guys as a family it's just so moving, because we all have the same DNA, but also the same just like spiritual DNA and that kind of intuitive kind of creative thing. I think the funniest thing for me when people like really ask me, how did you learn? What did you learn? I was like, I don't know, like I didn't have a name for it, we just played by ear. And my dad showed me like a few chords. He played piano and organ, but he didn't know a whole lot about guitar. So I was just kind of left to my own devices. And after like a week or two of learning a few things, he's like, all right, you ready to play at church? I was like, no.
Yeah.
But he's like, he brought me in and we would just play, and I was just like, after a little while, I was like, oh, okay, I can hear what's happening, and we just go with the flow,
Now, I know you were trained in music as well. You went to college for music. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when it came time for school, I knew how to play, but I wasn't formally trained. So I had no idea how to read music, or I couldn't really tell you what I was playing. I could just play it. And but I was trained in like classical voice because I was in the choir at school, and I had this low voice. So like I got all state, but I wasn't the greatest classical singer. I just was like one of the few guys who could sing like a low C, So when I started college, I was actually a classical voice major because I had gotten a scholarship to go to the University of Houston. But my plan was always to like, okay, I'm going to start this program, and on the side, I'm going to learn enough guitar, like, how to read and all these things so I can apply for the guitar program. And that's what I did. Midway through my second year of college, I switched into the guitar program. And then after that, I went to the University of University of North Texas, and transferred there to study jazz. So I finished my degree there in 2008 in jazz studies and music theory. And it was the best time ever. I met so many amazing humans and learned so much. But yeah, that was my formal training. Yeah. And then left school and played jazz for a while, and slowly but surely like ended up like back into like my roots of just songwriting and like this kind of folky soul thing that has nothing to do with jazz.
That creates such a good foundation, though. I feel like the time that I was in, because I played piano and sang in jazz band in school. And I feel like that foundation of jazz band was more, I guess I would consider it to be really well-rounded, because you do need to learn the fundamentals, but there's also an immense creativity that I feel like comes with jazz as opposed to some other music. But I really enjoyed that time. And I'm curious if you feel like, is it really a balance between the formal training and the natural ability that you feel like is the most effective for you in being a good musician, or do you think one plays more than the other?
Interesting. The formal training and the natural ability. I think it's a little of both. I like this quote from Miles Davis. He said, "Learn everything you can about music and then forget it." Right? And it's kind of like, it's a language, right? Like right now, right? There was a time when we had to learn our ABCs, and we were saying goo goo gaga. We learned words and how to better express ourselves. But now when we talk, I don't think about talk, T-A-L-K, talk. Like I'm not putting them together.
Right.
I forget about that, and I know what I want to express. But learning that skill gave me the freedom to express things more clearly and more easily. And so like having that foundation now, when I want to express music, I don't think about, this is the Lydian mode or Mixolydian mode or all these crazy fancy guitar chord names. I'm just like, boom, it's all one thing. It's a melody, it's a chord, it's bass, it's harmony, and it's a lyric,
right.
It's energy that it holds. Right. So I appreciate that foundation now, because it definitely helps me to get there quicker and more easily, especially when I'm collaborating. I can speak to musicians and not go, it's this, man,
How did you go from that? How did you become known for doing Shake It Off, Joel? How did you go from jazz school extraordinaire to he's singing Taylor Swift?
Okay, I'll tell you, this is, part of the transition from like super jazz, like, because I love George Benson, and he was one of my, biggest inspirations musically. And I aspire to play like that fast burning, very beautiful guitar. And in 2011, I actually got tendonitis in my hand.
Oh,
And I
no.
couldn't move my ring finger very well at all, not specifically, So throughout that process, I went through kind of like, it was a very beautiful breakthrough moment of like recognizing how much I was attached to a guitar or music as my identity and letting that go and going through a deeper inner healing process where I couldn't play. So I just wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote music every day. And the more simply I wrote music, I went from very, complex meters and chords and harmonies to very simple things, like my song Candlelight. And the more I simplified things, the more it communicated, the more it connected.
Wow.
And so I remember one day, before I got there, I was sitting in my room and I was trying to play something that wasn't that hard. It was a very simple guitar thing that I've known since I was probably like 16. And I was in tears because I couldn't play it. My hand mechanically couldn't do it. And I was like, this is all I want to do and I can't do it. And so somewhere in the middle of that, I just felt something come over me that was bigger than me. And I stopped my crying. And I just remember saying, I don't know if I'll be able to play this today or tomorrow. I don't know when this is going to change, but it will change. And if I have to play with my knuckles, I'm going to play music and create music for the rest of my life. And the next day, someone connected me with a physical therapist. That was the only person, after seeing like 7 other people, that helped me to get my body back together. And so that was a part of like my journey. I realized like, oh, I can choose. I don't have to surrender my power or my creativity or what I want for my life to circumstance. I can flow with it. And so I kind of left the jazz realm, and I've been writing music for like a year now, like just really writing songs. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I slowly began like doing singer-songwriter stuff. And a month before that Taylor Swift thing, I started connecting to transcendental meditation. And books. The book that really changed my life was called Effortless Mastery. And it was written by a jazz pianist named Kenny Werner. And his whole thing was like, especially like jazz, it's more specifically written for jazzers, but it's for any creative individual. And his whole thing is who you are as an artist should be effortless. So if you're trying, like just who you are as a human, right? When you walk, when you breathe, when you talk, when you speak, when you see, when you think, it's effortless. You don't you don't force those things. And so it's embracing that mindset as an approach to your practice so that anytime you pick up your instrument, you feel that effortless freedom. Doesn't mean like you're the most skillful or the most articulate, right, player. But it means that when you pick up your instrument, who you are and what you communicate is communicated effortlessly. And so there's all these beautiful meditations where you get so connected, where you almost have like this outer body experience, and it builds your confidence and your freedom and your trust in the flow. And I just had this moment that day in the park. I had this random gig at a botanical garden in Dallas. And I'm just kind of playing my songs, and somebody asked for Taylor Swift. And I was like, why not? Let's do it. And so I played this song, and I literally had an outer body experience. And it was like I was right back into that meditation in the middle of it. What was so crazy, I was like, what is happening? And, there was some kid there, and he's like, can I record it? Like, sure, man. He recorded it. And I had that same gig 2 days in a row. So that was the Saturday, and the Sunday I was supposed to come back in the afternoon again. And I'm getting up in the morning, and my phone is blowing up. And I'm like, my friends are all like, bro, you're famous. And I'm like, huh, what's going on? Like, and at first I literally thought it was a fake. I saw like, some headline from some, MTV News or whatever it was. Yeah. Saying, this guy's playing and it's got 500,000 views overnight or something. Taylor Swift.
Wow.
And I was like, fake. I literally woke up late, as musicians do, drive down to Dallas to go play this gig. And I'm like rushing out the door. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be late. And it wasn't until my break that I actually like checked and I was like, wait, this is legit, So it was like a crazy kind of like moment where not only did I kind of go full circle from this whole thing with an injury with my hand, acting and creating more authentic music and songwriting from a heart space, but also this whole thing with meditation, which is like still transitioning in my life to where I am now, and the role it plays in who I am and how I create.
I love stories like that where we can watch someone come into alignment with what they're supposed to be doing and the direction they need to go. And then you just kind of see it all unfold. And I'm literally like, as you're telling the story, watching this in my mind. And it's the coolest thing to see that, because I think so often we can struggle as humans with, this is what we're supposed to do. Did you ever feel like that? Did you ever feel like, did your parents or teachers or anybody else ever give you the idea that you've got to do a certain thing or be a certain way?
Yeah, everyone all the time. I mean, especially, don't get me wrong. They had the best of intentions and I appreciate it. They were trying to protect me. They were trying to provide for me a sense of discipline and responsibility and a clarity of focus, which is beautiful. But the only thing is no one can tell you who you are. Right. And what you need with any, 100% definite, knowing, right? They can just tell you what they've learned and what they feel is the way or a safe way to be in the world, or what they think will lead you to success, even if they don't have the lived experience of what that means. Right. So, for me, as an empath, I was talking to a friend last night. I was like, it was 10 of us in a house. 3-bedroom house. Yeah. I shared a room with my 4 brothers. There was 2 bunk beds. It was like a 10 by 12. It was tight. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I always felt everyone's energy. So, people's idea of who I am or what I should be or how I should move in the world was always present and domineering for a long time, until I got more connected with what was really resonating for me. So I think, once I started getting quieter and getting more connected to, I started journaling in my early 20s. I think that was the first time I allowed myself to be radically honest with myself about certain things. And I began to dive into my thought patterns and how and why I did things and why I was approaching life in a certain way. And it began to really kind of wake me up to like, oh, wait, I can let that go. That was somebody else's desire for me, or, somebody else's bad idea. And it's not going to work for me. That's not helping me. So yeah, I think, other people's idea of who you are and who you should be and what it takes to succeed, is a wonderful thing, and you can learn a lot from it. But at the end of the day, you have to go inward and figure out what that means for you.
Absolutely. When you play, Joel, I feel this sense of, at the same time, being so connected with who you are, while at the same time being so aware of everything and everyone around you. It is I can't describe it to people. There's certain people that you listen to and it's like that meditation experience where you're like in another world now and you're just hanging out there and it's delicious and good and, all of that. And so I'm so appreciative of your gift, and not just, having it, but sharing it with all of us. It is an honor to sit and listen to you play, and just the way that you play, like it's playing. It's not just a job for you. You emanate a passion and a soul it's just incredible. And I would love for you to hang out and come back at the end of the show and play a little bit for us. Will you do that, Joel?
Oh, yes, I'd love to. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk to Hana, and Joel will be back at the end of the show to give us some music, and we'll find out what he's been up to. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hi, my name is Brandon. And over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I have traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, and your delight when you need it most.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. I'm so excited to have my special guest on today because it's been a while since we had our initial conversation where we were kind of just getting to know each other. And then as we were talking, I said, okay, you have to come on the Breakthrough Show because you guessed it, she's as multi-passionate as me and so many of the other people that have been on the show, but she is the CEO and founder of Hana Executive Coaching. She holds a bachelor degree in behavioral psychology, a law degree. She's an NLP specialist, a hypnotherapist. Is there anything she can't do? We're going to find out today. Please welcome to the Breakthrough Show, Hana Dhanji. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. You're beautiful, radiating in pink today. I love it.
That's the way I'm feeling today. It's a good day.
Love it. That's awesome. You have so many wonderful things you can bring to the table. And of course, as I mentioned, introducing you, so many things that you have experience in that many of us are looking, going, how on earth did you have time to get all of those degrees and experience? Have you always been multi-passionate since you came out of the womb, as they say?
It's a great question. I think I've always had a very curious mind. And I was desperate to know how the pieces of my life fit together, because I think that very early on, there were so many dimensions to even my own identity. My dad grew up in Kenya, in East Africa. My mom grew up in Malaysia. And her mother wasn't given the opportunity to have an education. So she wanted her daughter to be able to go and seek out the best, the best education she could. So my mother was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to go study nursing in England, which is where she met my father, who was studying accountancy. That's where they met. That's where I was born. Then we moved to Canada. So my identity from the start was informed by, a mother from Asia, a dad from Africa. She was a Sikh, he was a Muslim. So it was just a multifaceted household. And then here I was in a Canadian environment, learning English and French in school and thinking, this is like, I have to be engaged. I have to be interested. Otherwise, where do I come from and where do I fit?
Yeah.
So genuinely was just very privileged to be surrounded by so many perspectives very early on.
That must have been really interesting to even looking at tradition and things like that in your family, was it?
It was, yeah. There was never a dogmatic approach, I think, to how to think or behave. There was always just an invitation to ask better questions. It was hard not to question what we read and knew and to think for ourselves. And once you start empowering yourself to think outside the box, to see things from multiple angles, to entertain perspectives that may be different from your own, it lends itself to a deeper, more meaningful curiosity about the world around you, about people. And so I think that naturally led down a very academic path for me, where I ended up doing a degree in psychology because I wanted to understand people, and then a master's degree in international affairs because I wanted to understand the world, and then the law degree in the MBA because I thought this is the best way to have a generalist education while specializing, because you can do anything with those degrees. Right. What I wanted to do was keep as many doors open as possible.
I feel like that's such an important lesson to give our kids the ability to ask questions and to think outside of the textbook.
Absolutely. There's no greater education, I think, than being able to ask questions, to be able to have the freedom in a way to explore ideas. And for me, I think travel was just such a critical part of my education that you can see it fed into how I pursued my studies. So I did my undergraduate degree in Toronto, but then did my master's in Geneva, Switzerland, and a portion of it actually in Washington, D.C. And then when I started law, I went to New York and then London and Dubai. But for me, it was as important to inform the practice of law with exposure to the application of it in different environments as it was to just read the books. The two are always intertwined, the context and the information together.
That's a breakthrough that some of us need to have, because I think that, there are many people that take things just in context of what's in the book, what they learn, and then they run with that. And then other people that go, well, I just have the experience, so I'm going to run with that. And I think what you're talking about marrying those things together, that could only improve our businesses, right?
Yeah. And honestly, that's how executive coaching came about, because I know that there are a number of coaches who have studied coaching and that's about it. And there are people who have been in the law or the corporate world and they come from just the experience side. But to have been able to both get a certification in coaching, my psychology degree, NLP, plus the corporate experience, I thought, what a unique blend. If I could bring in my experience, both my studies and work experience, plus the certifications, could I inform the way that people think about coaching and the breakthroughs that they achieve in a way that's so unique and different that it actually adds to the market in a way we haven't seen before? And I think that the clients I've had have been really, really pleased with the results we've achieved. So it's going well.
I know you do many different types of things in the psychology world. So you've trained in hypnotherapy and NLP as well as coaching. What about those things? What about your own experience made you want to get into those different, because those are very different things, and to combine, you just meshed them all together and made your own Hana world.
Yes. I'll be very, very honest with you. I had no idea how damaging the experience in the corporate world would be to my identity and my psyche. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is there was a heavy emphasis very early on in conforming, in having boundaries crossed, your personal time, your mental and emotional health. None of that is made a priority. Your ability to sleep or recharge at the end of the day, your friends, your family, even the practice of your religion, all of that really becomes secondary to getting a job done, where your religion and your creed and your motto and the beat by which you march to is all, what does the corporation need? What does the law firm need? What do the clients demand? And while it's understood that at the junior level, you're always going to pay your dues, there were things that were taken or eroded within me that I didn't understand I was giving up at the time. I didn't know that my voice as a woman would be silenced. I didn't know that I would be made to feel like I was small and less than. Despite being paid a lot, I felt very invaluable. I felt very worthless, rather. Mm-hmm. I could be replaced at any minute. There was nothing sacred about who I was to the firm. But I would be asked to give up everything that was sacred to me, despite being of very little meaning to them. And it was a callous disregard, I think, for the things that made me special and that make any professional special. Mm-hmm. Disregard for, who we are as human beings, what inspires us, what motivates us. There was no real emphasis on encouraging us to be the best versions of ourselves. It was simply to turn us into, as quickly as possible, the machines they needed, and then to be quickly discarded the minute we couldn't produce anymore. And it made me feel like the only value I had was the work I could produce. When I think as women and as people, we need to understand our value is not based on what we produce. It's not based on our output in the market. It's not based on the way we look or the way we, show up. It has to do with our intrinsic sense of self-worth. And when that started to get eroded, and I finally left, I thought the only way I'm ever going to start to feel like myself again is to heal. Is to go to a place where I rebuild this foundation that was in some ways broken and that I allowed to break. And hypnotherapy and NLP were the best, quickest ways I could think of to go in and rewire this mindset that had been so quickly corrupted in this environment, and to rebuild the foundation of who I was. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way I could then start coaching, was to have healed within myself and then to teach others how to do it.
The place that we're at in our lives are very unique, yet we have so many things that are similar, and that losing sense of self and being just for no other word, robotic, and what you're supposed to do is the same things that I experienced just in becoming a mom. not having anything to do with the corporate world or anything else. Just when you become a mom, you're sort of expected to give it all up for the sake of your children, forget who you are, forget who you ever wanted to be, that now you just have to go through get the laundry done, get the dishes done, make sure the baby's diapers changed, and go through these motions. And that was something that I realized too, is that I was going by what everybody else said that I had to do and be, and forget any passions that I ever had. And I did that because I thought that was what I was supposed to do, because everybody said that's what I was supposed to do. And so that was the same sort of breakthrough for me, was going, okay, well, I need to go back and work on myself. Something's not right here. And kind of slowly over time, I've gotten those little pieces of myself back that I forgot about because I just did what everybody said I had to do.
And you've hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter how the high performance individual looks. It doesn't matter what they are high performing in, whether it's at home or whether it's, in a corporate legal environment, or whether it's, in a banking or in medicine or whatever field you're in. The point is that when we are misaligned, when we are putting every ounce of our effort in a direction that doesn't fit with what we feel our purpose is and who we are and what we are meant to do in this world, there will be a draining effect where we will energetically be sucked dry until the point of reckoning, when we are down on the floor, completely burnt out, desperately unhappy, crying, pulling our hair out, and we finally have to look in the mirror, tear-soaked, and say, is this the life that I want to live?
Yes.
And when you've gotten to that place and you have the courage to look at yourself in the mirror and ask that question, the only answer that should be coming back at you is, what can I do to realign myself with the person I am meant to be? And that is fundamentally what executive coaching is. It is a combination of that spiritual aspect, the mental clarity, the career aspect, or whatever it is you wish to do. If it's to become a mom and a career person, that's fine. But we have to understand what you are about and how we're going to make a life for you that really fits with who you are. And the interesting part is that for any skeptic when they initially come in that says, I don't need this realignment woo-woo stuff, it's funny how quickly the breakthrough will happen once they engage in that process and how quickly the money follows.
What are some of the first things you did to sort of realign with your passions and who you are at your core?
So I have a stubborn streak, and I have to say I resisted the shit out of it. I did not want to deviate from this path I had set for myself. I was going to be a corporate lawyer. It wasn't just what I did, it's who I was. So it took me getting shingles 3 times during my few years in law, literally in the hospital room, thinking, so I'm probably not going to survive this unless I figure out what I'm meant to be doing. And it took a few chance encounters, testing things out, having conversations with different people about how they moved from one area of their career, so in the law, how they transitioned out. And I had to really go back and think about, what were my first joys in life? If I could think back to my earliest memories, what were the things that were consistent about who I was? And I knew I loved being in a classroom. I knew I loved teaching. I knew I loved helping people and being heart-centered. And I loved helping people realize potential they didn't know they had. And so I thought, what does all that amount to in the adult world? And short of becoming a teacher, a coach really fit the bill, because it combined my degrees and my experience, but also allowed me to be heart-centered, driven, and to be an entrepreneur, which is actually something I'd also dreamed about doing one day. So it wasn't a gentle process. It took getting knocked down a few times. It took tearful attempts at trying to backtrack and say, no, I can do this. Let me go back and try and do it again. And then to finally put down the sword and say, I'm more than what I do. I'm not just a lawyer. I was Hana Dhanji first. So let's get back to the roots of who she is. Let's figure out what makes her happy. And then let's pursue that relentlessly, because what is the point of being here on this earth if we're not going to do our darndest to get to a life that we can be proud of, where at the end of it all, we can look back and say, I lived a life that I would have chosen if given all of the circumstances. This is the life I would have picked for myself.
It's so beautiful. So beautiful. I think those the idea that we need to start asking ourselves questions is really important in what you're saying. And because I think that many of us, I think we're waiting for, subconsciously, maybe we're waiting for other people to ask us the questions. Like, how are you feeling today? What is it that you really want? And we have to ask ourselves that. That's one of the things that I started doing a couple of years ago when I really was struggling with my health badly, is I said, you know what? I'm just going to wake up in the morning and say, what do I need to do to feel joy today?
100%.
And that's it, you know?
Here's the funny part. You never know who is watching. We are role models to so many people in our lives, and we don't always know the ways in which, by taking that courageous step forward, we are actually giving people we care about permission to do the same. Because initially, when I left the law, there was a degree of skepticism around, what's Hana going to do next? Wasn't she meant for greatness in this field? But after the initial sort of shock and the, oh my God, she did it, there were people who came out and said, I felt the same way too, and I just didn't know how to say it. I also wanted to leave and find a path that was more authentic, and I didn't know anyone else who had done it. And so suddenly I became this role model for people I didn't even know were paying attention. And it was a beautiful gift to provide space for them to ask those questions in a healthy way, and to help them then transition into jobs they actually really wanted to be part in.
That's an amazing space to create for people, because we know that, I think about times when I've had to go to the doctors for something, and I've had a doctor that, while they're good at what they do, you can tell they are not passionate about their work. They have the worst bedside manner on the planet. And it makes you think about, for just a minute, I have this thought of, what if they were doing something they really loved to do right now?
How would they show up? What would that look like? 100%. Right. And that's it. If you're not happy with what you're doing, if you do not feel you're in alignment with any part of your life, you will not do it half as well. You will not enjoy the success that you so deeply crave. You won't get the recognition and the sense of satisfaction you so desperately want, because you're not bringing your full self to the table. You are a shell of what you could be otherwise if you were just in the position to do what you were meant to do on this earth.
Well, tell us, before we run out of time today, tell us a little bit about that program, and also who's your ideal person that you want to be working with.
So the ideal person is, right now, we're catering mainly to corporate professionals and lawyers in particular, but corporate professionals generally, who are looking for performance breakthroughs. So if they're experiencing burnout, fatigue, feelings of low self-esteem, low confidence, feeling like this isn't the job they want to be in, or they're just not happy with where they are, I help them regain a sense of alignment, help them blueprint their careers, set their goals, and develop momentum to be able to achieve the life they really want. And so that's an 8-week program. And it's something that, if anyone is interested in, can reach out to me for. And this is the type of program that, once you invest in, will pay for itself, because you will end up in a career that'll either make you more money, or it'll get you a promotion faster, or it'll allow you to sustain the career you're currently in without burning out and then having to drop out. So it's really fantastic. And if anyone does want to get in touch, they can always reach me, booking a call at www.hanadhanji.com/apply.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here today. So, oh my gosh, this is going to be one. If you did not have a pen and paper ready for this episode, you need to go back to the rewind, as we said back in the 90s and 80s, rewind and go back and get your pen and paper out and take some notes here, because there's so many amazing points that you've shared today, Hana. I just thank you so much for your time and, of course, the work that you're doing in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And to everyone listening, thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Amazing. Make sure you guys check out the show notes where you can connect with Hana. And we are going to be back in just a minute for more of the Breakthrough Show.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them, to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every month for exclusive programming, where we invite you to go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. I want to give a big thank you to my special guest today, Hana Dhanji, for being here. I also want to welcome back to the show, Joel Cross. I am so excited to have you here today, my friend, and I would love to know what you're up to right now, because I feel like you're always cooking something up, Joel. I just get this vibe, like you're just always working on something.
I am. I'm working on quite a few wonderful things that I'm excited about. A large part of that is kind of all entangled in this whole like going full-time RV for the unforeseeable future. We'll see, as long as it takes, kind of surrendering to the creative process. So what I am working on, what I have on the docket is I love nature and I love connecting, doing walking meditations and just being outside. And so I wanted to record music in nature. So I have a field recorder and several places I want to explore, and I'll be recording music, both like singer-songwriter songs that inspire love and peace and tranquility and connection, as well as instrumental guitar things that will just be something on their own for people to meditate to, or just to enjoy and relax and hear the birds and the wind and the air of nature, as well as now I'm about to begin doing some guided meditations. So that music, you might hear that behind some guided meditations as well.
I love it.
Spoken word poetry. So got a few things I'm working on all at once. I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm excited about it too. I love good music behind meditation and whatnot as well. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more of that and because I think like you've had those experiences with music taking you to another place. I think it's something that can take us to that next level, or music provides something sometimes that is unmatched, I think, to anything else. It's really a beautiful experience. You're going to sing a song for us today, or do a song for us called Tables Will Turn. Tell us a little bit about that song and what it means to you.
Ooh, yeah. So this song is all about, I guess the law of undulation that I learned from like C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity, and our tendency as humans to wave and go up and down and back and forth. And even in your low moments, the tables will turn. It will come back to a high, and it might be higher than your last high, maybe the highest high you've ever known. So it's just a gentle reminder to hang in there, to love yourself and continue to create the life you want.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, let's do this, Joel. Let's play it for everybody. Here to perform Tables Will Turn is Joel Cross.
Go and live your dream. Give it all you've got. Don't waste time on schemes. You only get one shot. Oh, I know. The tables will turn. Just live for today. Don't wait for it turns on all that love you pay. Sometimes you might get burned, oh, I know. The tables will turn. Mm-hmm. The tables will turn. So take a moment, friend, to breathe in deep. Step back from the edge. The problems that you keep aren't worth your while. The tables will turn. Just live for today. Don't wait for returns on all that love you pay. Sometimes you might get burned, oh, I know. The tables will turn. Mm-hmm. The tables will turn. Mm-hmm. The tables will turn. So go and look for love. You never know what could be. A piece of pure light without the misery. Oh, I know. The tables will turn. So go and live your dreams. Give it all you've got. Don't waste time on schemes. You only get one shot. Oh, I know. The tables will turn. Tables will turn. Tables will turn. Tables will turn.
Oh, that was beautiful, beautiful. And oh God, I need another minute. I am always so, you guys, I say all the time that it's so, I don't plan out how these shows are going to go. I mean, I have an idea of what I'm looking for, but it always seems to come to me and then following the audience at the exact same, the time that they need to hear it, the time that they need to experience it. And Joel, I am so thankful for you being here today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I'm thankful for you.
I would love for you to tell everybody the best way that they can find you, Joel.
The best way to find me is look for a soul called Joel on TikTok. That's
I know him. And you'll see me in the comments of the video just acting a complete fool, being the fangirl, throwing up all the fire and whatnot.
I love it. I love your energy when you come in. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing in this world. We're presented with all these opportunities. It's not that moment that matters. It's what you do with it going forward. And so thank you again, Joel, for being here today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
All right, you guys, this has been an incredible show today. I want to thank my very special guest, Hana Dhanji, and also Joel Cross. Make sure you check out the show notes and go to thebreakthroughshow.com where you can find all of their links and ways to connect with them. Thank all of you for watching or listening for wherever you are today. And until next week, guys, make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.
To another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com and be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing you next week.